welcome back to Guru Beauty. I am Jodie and I'm really excited to share with you Australians a new collection that's coming to Australia from the brand Too Faced. It is the Peaches and Cream collection, I think is what it's called, and it launched in the US towards the end of 2017. It's coming to Australia at Mecca on the 31st of July. This video is not made in any kind of partnership with anybody, but I did actually pick up quite a bit of the collection while I was over in the US in December last year. So having had a chance to use a lot of the products, I definitely wanted to let you know my thoughts, give you a bit of an introduction to the collection, and also some up close swatches as well. So I have what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pieces from the collection. There are some pieces that I did not pick up, but I'll let you know my thoughts on the products that I did pick up. First and foremost, probably most exciting and most colourful of the collection is the eyeshadow palette. This is called the Just Peachy Mattes Velvet Matte Eyeshadow Palette. They do say that it's infused with peach and sweet fig cream, as is the rest of the products from the collection. 12 different shades, and as promised, they certainly are all matte. I am wearing these products on my face today, so if you're curious about what I'm wearing, I will include the details down below in the description bar. But essentially, this is definitely all mattes, very sort of warm toned, a lot of peachy burgundy type tones in this collection. We've got a couple of light shades. What I love is that we've got a real choice of peaches and then medium brown type blending shades, and then we've got some beautiful deeper shades, a nice medium to darker brown, a beautiful burgundy, a real vivid type burgundy shade, and then a nice dark brown in chocolate dipped. These shadows, I feel they perform really well, they blend really nicely with each other, and I have really enjoyed using this. For those of you who do like matte shadow and you do like these sort of warmer shades, I think you'll really enjoy this palette. The rest of the collection that I do have are all face products. I'll start with the order, I guess, that I would apply them, and I am again wearing these today. First up, we have the Primed and Peachy Cooling Matte Skin Perfecting Primer. This one's a really interesting one. Like everything else in the collection, infused with peach and sweet fig cream, and they do say that it's made in Italy. I love the packaging of this collection. You can see we've got the gold and the lovely peachy shades here on the tube. I like that it has a flat top so you can store the primer like that. Comes in a really nice handy pump. It comes out sort of moussey, peachy colored. I guess it's meant to have a bit of a brightening component, and it definitely has like a slippery kind of silicone-y feel to it. Now this one, depending on what you're putting it over and depending on how you apply it, you want to be careful that this one is not going to ball up. What I've found works really well is actually applying it in a patting type motion to my face, and I find that it does actually really quickly pat in all over. I'll use 1 to 2 pumps, usually 2 pumps I would say, and I sort of rub it between my fingertips and then just pat it into my moisturized SPF'd skin. I find that it does create definitely a really nice smooth canvas. It does have a slightly cooling feel to it, nothing too extreme, and it just has a really nice sort of velvety smooth finish to it. It does have a slight peachy scent to it, but nothing too strong or objectionable, I wouldn't say. I think for those of you who really don't like any fragrance at all, you might want to steer away from the collection, but the scent to me is relatively subtle. Next up, we have the Peach Perfect Comfort Matte Foundation, again infused with peach and sweet fig cream. They claim on the tube itself, oil-free, 14-hour wear, oil controlling and photo friendly. This one is in the shade Vanilla. I find that that matches my sort of NC25 skin pretty well. I've applied this with a beauty blender today. I find that it applies well with fingers, it applies well with a damp beauty blender, and also with a buffing brush. I feel like it buffed in pretty well, and it does leave a sort of smoothed, relatively matte finish. It's not a dead matte. It certainly doesn't accentuate lines or pores or anything like that. I feel like it's a really quite a nice smooth matte type finish. This one is relatively long wearing and oil controlling like they claim. I really quite like that one. Love the packaging. Again, I love a tube with a pump, and I absolutely would recommend the foundation and the primer. I enjoy them quite a lot. This collection also contains a really interesting kind of cream to powder formulation of blushes, including a bronzer and a highlight. I actually didn't pick up any of the blushes, but I did pick up the bronzer. First thing that I would say, disappointingly, the bronzer actually comes out of the packaging. The glue certainly hasn't kept get the product stuck in the compact, that is always going to be disappointing. This is the Bronzed Peach Melting Powder Bronzer infused with peach and sweet fig cream. This is the shade Toasted Peach. For the bronzer, it's a bronze tone packaging in the shape of a peach, and the blushes come in packaging that suggest the color of the product inside. If you do end up with more than one of the shades of blushes, the nice thing about that is that you do know which shade you're reaching for. Now, it is an interesting formulation, as I said. Basically, it feels in the pan like a cream. It almost does apply though like a powder. So it's kind of like as soon as it hits the skin, it behaves like a powder. It kind of blends like a powder. It's actually quite a cool tone. It does have a slight shimmer to it, but I don't feel like it looks particularly shimmery on the face. And I did use that to contour my face today, as well as down the sides of my nose. I quite like that product, and I think if you just want a really nice, quick, easy bronze and you don't particularly like using powders, I think that you might actually quite like this one. So go in store and check it out if you can. Make sure that you have packaging that's not already falling apart. That's one thing to make sure. Now, onto the powders. I've got 3 different powders to share with you, one of them being their loose powder. This is the Peach Perfect Mattifying Loose Setting Powder, and this one again infused with peach and sweet fig cream. I love the packaging of it. First of all, see-through, so you can see how much product you've got. What I love about it is that there is, let me show you, I'll just get the powder off the top of it, it's kind of clickable plastic lid. So if you're traveling with this and you've got this upside down in your makeup bag for some reason, you've got a lid that holds everything in, so it's not going to shake loose into a big pile. So you've got a sifter there, a plastic lid that sort of almost clicks into place, and then the lid that goes on top of that. I really like using the lid for, you know, really squishing my brush into the product, and I think that it's just a great packaging system. You definitely have that same sort of subtle peach smell to it. So it's a finishing powder that's supposed to be relatively universal. It's quite light. I find that it performs really nicely on my skin. It really does a nice job of setting my makeup, and I'm quite a fan of it. I find that this powder is not completely mattifying. It's just a really nice sort of smooth, velvety look. I've used it with other foundations other than the Too Faced one from this collection, and I think that it does a nice job of controlling oils. I would absolutely recommend this one if you do have oily skin, combination skin like me, a really nice one there. We also have a couple of pressed powders as well. Now this one quite interesting. I thought long and hard about whether I was going to pick this one up. It's the Peach Blur Translucent Smoothing Finishing Powder. I'll actually use these two sort of in combination with each other. I'll use the loose powder on my sort of T-zone area, which generally needs a little bit more help with oil control. And then I'll use this. I find that this does a really nice job of smoothing and blurring as well. I'll generally get this into a really nice big loose fluffy brush, and I'll sort of do this way, so around my temples, around my cheeks, that kind of thing. They don't need quite as much oil control as the T-zone section of my face. I don't notice the peachy color coming onto my face at all. It sort of behaves like a relatively smoothing, maybe slightly brightening product, but I really don't notice the shade at all. I quite like it. I haven't used it for touch-ups. It might be a nice one for touch-ups. Relatively light wearing. It's not a heavy cakey type pressed powder at all. I do quite like the Peach Blur. Okay, and then the final powder that I have is the Sweetie Pie Radiant Matte Bronzer. This one is also made in Italy and just is beautifully packaged. You can see that it just has this gorgeous kind of, what's it called, like lattice pressing. We've got a few different shades of powder in here. So we've got a darker bronzer around the outside, a lighter bronzer with a little bit of shimmer going through the middle, some more sort of blush tone shade, and a bit of a pinky highlighty shade in there. All up, I think that the colors are really beautiful. If you're pale or fair, I think that you'll really like this. I find that it just does a beautiful job of a really sort of subtle warm up. I am wearing that today. Around here, I sort of put a little bit more on my cheeks today. I am wearing some Too Faced blush that's not a part of the Peaches and Cream collection, but I do really like this powder. I feel like all of these products together give me a really lovely sort of smoothed, even look. The foundation has a really nice buildable coverage. It's relatively long wearing. The powders do a really nice job of helping to smooth and mattify without making me look aged, without exacerbating pores and fine lines. And I think that this one is a smoothing product as well. Just helps to warm everything up. Really quite like that as well. So that leaves just one more product that I picked up from the collection. This is the Too Faced Peach Mist Mattifying Setting Spray. They have a big sign on it there saying "Shake Me Baby," so really important to shake that up before you use it. They say that it's a refreshing peach and sweet fig cream infused setting spray that locks down makeup with an exclusive comfort matte finish and helps control oil for a comfortable weightless feel that lasts all day. You're supposed to shake it well, hold 6 to 8 inches away from your face and mist directly onto skin. The one that I saw in the Sephora store in the US had, like, you know, one spray of makeup hitting my face. It was not appealing at all, so I decided to leave it. But I went back into the store, I tried another tester that was there on the display, and it was a finer mist. After just having sprayed it on my face here, it does do a nice job of generally, I guess, what other setting sprays do. I don't find that it's particularly mattifying as far as a setting spray, but just like other face sprays, after you've used all of those powders to kind of set and smooth and do all of that, it's nice just to kind of set it all in with a spray, and I think that this one does a nice job. It does certainly have a peach scent to it, which is quite pleasant, and I quite like it. It doesn't, again, stand out as anything particularly special as a face spray. You may like the scent of it, you may not, so go and check it out in store. Just be careful about the spray nozzle. I guess I'll give you that warning. The one that I've got sprays really nicely. Perhaps they don't all spray really nicely, so just check the nozzle of the one that you buy. But yeah, generally a nice face spray. So that is all of the products that I did pick up. Again, there are a few blushes in that sort of cream to powder formulation. Also a highlight, which just, I don't know, I wasn't all that impressed on the swatch, so I didn't pick that up. If I had to give you my favorites from the collection, you know what, I really quite like them all, but my favorites from the collection would be the matte. I would say the foundation is one of my favorite new foundations that I have tried all year, so definitely the Peach Perfect Comfort Matte Foundation definitely gets a thumbs up. I have really enjoyed the Cooling Matte Skin Perfecting Primer. I think they work together really, really well. And let's see, of the powders, I would say that the loose powder, the Peach Perfect powder, love that, love the packaging, does a great job setting my makeup and is just a pleasure to use. And the eyeshadow palette as well. But the this one, just a really nice, lovely, subtle way to warm up your face without, you know, using a darker or warmer bronzer. This just does a lovely job of warming everything up in a really subtle way. And the eyeshadow palette, I would hesitate to recommend it if you do have similar shades in other palettes, but it is a really nice one. You can create a lot of different looks with it. Just one of these shades just all over the lid and blend it out would just give you a really lovely subtle day look, but you can get really extreme. So this one does contain, you know, it is sort of the full palette with 12 shades you'd expect so, but I love that you've got a couple of medium tones, light tones, couple of dark shades to play with. It is a complete palette in my eyes and doesn't need something else to accompany it. So really quite like the eyeshadow palette. So that's a few favorites there in that collection that I have that I would recommend. Definitely let me know if you've tried out anything from the collection. I'd really love to hear from you what you're interested in, if you've tried anything or if you intend to pick anything up when it does launch on the 31st of July. But that is it from me for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Have yourself a gorgeous day, and please don't forget, whether you use any of this stuff or not, you are absolutely beautiful inside and out. But you know what's so much more important than just looking beautiful is being it. I will see you again really, really soon. Mwah. Bye.
You're seeing me in the road.